Okay, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Rizal. Today I'm gonna present you meeting 9 from Sociolinguistics. Okay.
Okay, now we're gonna learn about language and culture. Language and culture. The exact nature of the relationship between language and culture has fascinated and continues to fascinate people from wide variety of background. That there should be some kind of relationship between the sound, work, and word and syntax of a language and the ways in which speaker of language experience the world and behave in it seems so obvious as to be as tourism. It would appear that the only problem is deciding the nature of relationship and finding suitable way to demonstrate it. But as we will see, what is obvious need not necessarily be true. The sun does not rotate around the earth, nor is the earth at the center of the universe. Worf. One long-standing claim concerning the relationship between language and culture is that the structure of the language determines the way in which speakers of that language view the world. A somewhat weaker version is that the structure does not determine the world view, but it's still extremely influential in predisposing speakers of a language toward adopting a particular worldview. This claim has intrigued many anthropologists and linguists, and there is fairly extensive literature considering it. Kinship. It is not surprising, therefore, that there is considerable literature on kinship terminology, describing how people in various parts of the world refer to relatives by blood or descent and marriage. Kinship systems are universal feature of language. Because kinship is so important in social organization, some systems are much richer than others, but all make us of such factors as gender, age, generation, blood, and marriage in their organization. One of the attractions that kinship systems have for investigators is that these factors are fairly ready, ascertainable. Taxonomies. Language itself has its own classes of units: vowel, consonant, noun and verb, statement and question, and so on. People also use language to classify and categorize various aspects of the world in which they live, but they do not always classify things the way scientists do. They often develop systems which we call folk taxonomies rather than scientific classification. Prototypes. Roche 1976 has proposed an alternative to the view that concepts are composed from the set of features which necessarily and sophisticatedly define instance of concept. Roche proposed that concepts are best viewed as prototypes. A bird is not best defined by reference to the set of features that refer to such matter as wing, warm bloodedness, and egg-laying characteristic, but rather by reference to typical instance, so that a prototypical bird is something more like a robin than it is like a token penguin, ostrich, or even eagle. This is the theory of prototype. As we saw in the preceding session, individuals do have ideas of typical instance of color, and these ideas are remarkably similar among various culture groups. Such similarities in view, however, is found not only in reference to the birth and colors. Taboo and euphemism. In one sense, this chapter has been about meaning, specifically about how culture, meaning are expressed in language, but language is used to avoid system certain things as well as to express them. Certain things are not said not because they cannot be, but because people don't talk about those things. Or if those things are talked about, they are talked about in very roundabout ways. In the first case, we have instance of language taboo. In the second, we have the employment of euphemism, so as to avoid mentioning certain matters directly.
Thanks for watching my presentation. See you again.